Should I be picking Bulbasaur, Charmander, or this one that looks like a turtle? Definitely Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur every time.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was.
Say what is going on, guys? I'm SpawnTrapped, bringing you another video with some Battlefront gameplay. But what we're talking about today, something that has nothing to do with Battlefront, nothing to do with FPS games. And for me personally, I don't do too many videos on Pokemon, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you guys are not familiar, or you haven't seen the Super Bowl commercial yet, or haven't even been into a GameStop store, or been living underneath a rock, or been disconnected from the internet, or are living maybe even under a bridge, I don't know. If you've been completely disconnected from anything, you probably have not heard the news yet that Pokemon is having its 20th anniversary this year. They're actually even having a Super Bowl commercial. The Super Bowl commercial already has like millions of views. I watched it. It's pretty sick, so I guess I'm not going to get that surprise come the day of the Super Bowl, which is next Sunday. But Pokemon is something that I kind of got to reflect on today. It's been something that has impacted me tremendously. I would believe I ever started playing Pokemon back on the Game Boy Advance, or even the Game Boy Color, that I wouldn't be here, talking about Call of Duty, or doing Call of Duty stuff, or involved in gaming at all. I really, truly do believe that this game put me where I am today. And, thinking about it as a young kid, I came into school scared socially, I guess. And I think that's what a lot of people are. When I started preschool, maybe I wasn't quite as open as I should be. And in elementary school, though, I credit a lot of the social skills, a lot of the friendships that I made to Pokemon. And Pokemon had a tremendous impact on that, because kind of gave us a common thing that we all had in common, my group of friends. And, we may have never became friends otherwise. And we were kind of just brought together by this commonality that was this video game. And it seems ridiculous. And somebody actually posted on Reddit a couple days ago, they kind of asked what people's stories were, what people's memories were about Pokemon. And reading through these things it was emotional for me. I couldn't believe this. Other people shared the same impact that this game had for me. So I want to read a few of them to you guys. Hopefully that doesn't bore you to death. Unreal Croissant says, I don't know if I have any awesome stories per se, but I have one that comes to mind. It's a good memory that I am significantly fond of. And personally, for me, this is one that I can relate to. So let's get back to it. I remember laying on the floor of the family room playing Red version on my cinder block of a classic Game Boy. My parents would make me do 30-minute breaks, mandatory, so during those I would look at all the artwork throughout the Prima guide for the Red version. It's a simple memory, but one that really is close to my heart. It reminds me that when you're a kid, absolutely nothing is possible, and something so simple as stock artwork with a Game Boy can spark so much imagination. For me, it was Yellow. It wasn't Red, but Yellow was my first Pokemon game, and I had the guide to it. And as a kid, I drew a lot. And I drew a lot because I wanted to duplicate those Pokemon. I wanted to try and draw them to the best of my ability, color them and that kind of thing. And I ended up being a pretty good artist. Some of you guys know that I won my first camera off of winning an art contest that was sponsored by Sony. I won my first camera there. And that camera ended up being the reason why I started YouTube in the first place. And, that was a drawing contest. And I would have probably never won that drawing contest if I'd never drawn in the first place. If it wouldn't have been for Pokemon, I probably never would have drawn in the first place. So, your Stender, I have no idea how to say that username. He said being glued to the Red version when I was a wee lad when it came out. I later got a Game Boy Color, the purple clear one. And I remember having those giant attachments that had magnifying screens that you could pull out, and these huge speakers that fold out to the side. Those were the days. I can't wait for my Red and Blue system next month. I do remember these, that on the Advance, even on the Color, they had like the magnifying glass like flipped over, so like the screen was here, but then you had like the magnifying glass here, and you had to like look through the magnifying glass so it would make like the screen be bigger. Then you had like these speakers that like folded out of the side. It was a ridiculous contraption. Steve Jr. 47 says, one of my favorite memories is in school with my Pokemon Red and Game Shark generating Mews and trading them to everyone and seeing how happy they were. I actually tried this on Emerald. I tried this on Emerald with a Game Shark. So my friend Levi and me, we were playing Pokemon. I bought a Game Shark. Thing worked awesome for me. And then we put it into his Game Boy on his Emerald, and we got him a whole bunch of Pokemon, like ridiculous number of Master Balls as well. And he just figured we take the Game Shark out, we give it back to me, boom, I still have my Game Shark. He gets all these Master Balls, and he didn't have to buy a Game Shark. Well, that completely destroyed his save, so that was That was an emotional time for us because there went all of his stuff. Blue High Wind says, I don't even think I've been more excited for a movie than I was for Pokemon the movie. The air was electrified in the theaters as little kids everywhere and their confused moms waited anxiously as the screen opens. We threw popcorn around each other in sheer madness of it all. Star Wars Episode 7 hype is for amateurs. Pokemon ruled the world in 1999, and for me it wasn't Pokemon the movie. I was too young at that point to really be into it. I think at some point during Pokemon 2000, I did see that one. I got like a Marill card at Taco Bell or something in a kid's meal. That was my first ever Pokemon card. I did see Pokemon 2000, and I will tell you that the hype that surrounded Pokemon 2000, at least for kids, and it wouldn't seem as widespread because adults didn't get into it, and because of that, I don't think the big news media got into it as much. But for Pokemon 2000, in the way that it just encompassed playgrounds, was absolutely insane. I'm telling you, it had to be bigger than Star Wars Episode 7. And the only reason why you could argue that it wasn't was because I believe the news media did not surround it as much, simply because adults weren't into this. And I can't imagine what it was like for the original Pokemon movie. And then we have a very long one. This is my last one I'm going to read off. It's from Silver Durat. This is actually one that he copied and pasted from r/Nintendo. So this is not his original comment, I will say. But it's going to be quoted here. He says, I have extremely fond memories of spending hours during weekends sitting in my living room, in the recliner and with the lamp positioned perfectly, with my oversized Game Boy, copies of Pokemon Red and Blue, and the Pokemon Player's Guide, making it my mission to check off every Pokemon listed in the back with the stickers included in the guide. Displayed starting off with Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, and Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins, Pokemon is the game that defined me as a gamer. Nearly every day, I'd bring my Game Boy to school to play it before class started up, with other classmates until it turned into a boys-only group, whatever they didn't know how to train a solid team. And I put a little into it in here of my own. We actually had one girl, her name was Kayla, that actually hung out with us and talked about Pokemon with us. But other than her, it wasn't all boys thing. Let's get right back to it. And, or during various breaks, recess, and lunch. When Pokemon Yellow came out in Japan and I couldn't import it, I remember a kid in the same grade as me had his dad smuggle a copy out of there when he was there on a business trip. And those of us who were still playing Red/Blue were amazed. Then there was the whole idea of ROM. So my childhood friend, who happened to have internet, AOL dial-up, and I tried to download our own version of Yellow on a floppy disk. Finding out there were different video games via friends/other gamers in person rather than online, if you didn't have the Nintendo Power or any of the many gaming magazines, Nintendo Power, by the way, has actually ended, I believe now. I had a subscription to it, and partway through my subscription it ended, so I basically got like the PC Gamer magazine or something they tried to like fill my subscription in with. It was ridiculous. Anyways, back to this. You were borrowing copies, renting them at Blockbuster, and in some cases blindly picking them just by the box art. It was all word of mouth, especially with rumors and speculations. I heard in the next Pokemon game that you can breed Pokemon and get a black Charizard. Ooh, close. Thanks, 6th generation. And of course, the good old days have a bunch of sentimental value for me today, and I feel that there were some of the best memories are, and unfortunately some of the worst. Sometimes people suck and you should just throw in a few punches. Though, no matter what, I'm most proud of the fact that I discovered Pokemon on UPN Channel 13, got into the series, games, cards, toys, etc., and when I was told that I shouldn't like it anymore, I ignored that garbage. And here I am, still doing what I did when I was 8. And you know, after 20 years, to me, it's just absolutely amazing how far it's came and just how much it matters to me personally. So thank you guys for listening to this long video. Hopefully you guys are excited for 20 years of Pokemon, something that's been a long time coming, and I'm glad that it made it this far.